And we are live here on Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel. My name is Tony Vicenda. I'm Chief Alchemist here at Plus One EXP. We're a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation. Our hope and desire is to help great designers find amazing players who love their games and help amazing players find great designers whose games they can love. A big part of that is that we sit down and play those games with the designer. Today we are playing through a system agnostic supplement that has been like capturing my mind for the last week and a half since the first chance I got a little sneak peek at it. It's actually in the second edition, and I saw the original version a little while ago, but never had a chance to pick up a physical copy. So I'm super excited that it's back on Kickstarter right now. You can find that at the link down below all of our faces. I'll drop it in the chat in just 1 second, or if you watch it on Facebook or YouTube, it's in the description of the video already. But you didn't come here to hear me talk about that. You came here to hear about our game. So let's hear first and foremost from our GM tonight, who is also the game's creator, about who they are, what they do, where you can find them online if you want to, and what Into the Wyrd Wild is. Charles, tell us who you are.
Hi, so my name is Charles Ferguson-Avery. I am an artist and now at this point, game designer based in rural Pennsylvania. You can find most of my work on Twitter as of now. That's Charlie Fergaves, or under the Twitter name Charlie Rat Bastard. But as well as Instagram, if you just type in my name, Charles Ferguson-Avery, you should find it. And yeah, I'm very excited to be here. I have a wonderful little adventure for all of us tonight.
I'm super excited about it. Tell us a little bit about Into the Wyrd Wilds. Like, what does it offer? Because I know there was an original edition. I've got a video coming out because I've already looked through it. I'm going to put a little bit of this in there, but then it'll be out next week with some of my thoughts about it. But tell us a little bit about what some people can expect inside the actual resource itself.
So the actual thing itself is a way to create, the biggest selling point is it creates a wilderness dungeon. So rather than the wilderness being a place for you to just kind of like trudge through, crawl through, and then get to the dungeon, it is a way to create a dungeon of like the woods, the forests, the swamps, as they are. With that, there are rules for like starving to death, becoming exhausted, moon cycles, hunting mechanics, cleaning a body mechanics for ties in with hunting, and as well it is packed with just a bunch of weird thematic elements like monsters taken from folk mythology, weird like kind of Lovecraftian monsters in a way, and as well as these like ambivalent almost gods that watch over the weird and the wild. So that's what you can look for it, and it works with pretty much any system. I have my preferences with it, but if you walk into it with 5th edition, it only requires a little bit of tooling. If you walk into it with some OSR, Sword Dream stuff, you'll be right at home with it.
Awesome. And somebody just told me the link that I had posted up was broken. This is my friend Santonio. Mr. Fishford, come give me a hug.
What's up, man? How you doing, bro? How you been, man? Good. When I heard you was down here, I'm like, dang, I just want to hang out with somebody.
I'll be up in about an hour to hang out for a little bit. Then I gotta come back down and play some more.
Okay. What y'all playing? What game y'all playing?
He just told us what game we're playing.
I heard the last little bit. I heard about the Wizards.
All right. We'll see in a bit. We were like, come by anytime. Only time I can't do it is at this time, but that's when they're here also too, because that's what fit into their schedule. So they're going to be visiting the family. I'm going to check that link in just 1 second. But while I'm doing that, let's meet our other players. Let's start first with Vic. Vic, tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you on the internet if you want to be found.
I'm Vic. I'm an illustrator. I mostly draw comics. I'm also on Twitch with Dice Drinks and Drama, where we usually interview and kind of fool around with news from itch funding to Kickstarters, as well as running a ttrpg program for children and design. I'm working on my first long game, which I don't really have much to say about at the moment because things can still very much change.
Awesome. I know why it didn't work, because I typed it in wrong. Because I also told my designer the wrong one. So I'll fix that in just a second. But that's awesome. Vic, it's always great to have you on the stream. Let's hear next. First time on the stream is Rowan. Rowan, tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online if you want to be found.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm Rowan. I'm a resident leech on Charlie's back, and I have recently made a little tabletop supplement called the Thawing Kingdom, which has been on Kickstarter and which will hopefully soon also be available for purchase after the campaign on itch. And you can find me on Twitter at Rowan A. Mon. And I also tend to blog quite often at my OSR blog, The Bottomless Sarcophagus.
Awesome. And then last but not least, also first time on the stream, we have Richard. Richard, tell people who you are, where you're from, what you do, and where they can find you online if they want to.
Yeah, so I'm Richard. I'm a budding tabletop designer. I'm writing for the Indie Zine. And also I'm a cattle farmer in Southeast Australia.
Awesome. So we got a global population playing today. I'm super excited about it. Everybody's at different times in the world, and I'm super excited to get into the weird and wild. We always use safety tools when we're playing here on the channel. So lines, veils, and X cards are the standard unless the system suggests another one. Since this is a system agnostic one, it doesn't. We are playing using Ben Milton's Knave today also too, Questing Beast. So if you want to go check that out, please do. But we'll be diving in just 1 second, but we talked about it a little bit in advance because it is important when you're streaming to have those conversations both on air and off air, but we like to make sure people see that conversation happen. Let's talk a little bit about lines, veils, and the X card. Lines are things that may happen in the world of our game, but don't happen in the course of our game. Our game does not focus on that. So if they happen somewhere else, it's fine, but we don't address them within the course of the game. Veils are things that might happen in the course of the game, but they are things that we handle in a specific way based on the conversation we've had, or we don't dwell on them. And then the X card is a tool that we can use at any time to pause the game, identify what the issue is if it's unclear, and then move forward in a different direction. No explanation is necessary. We just want to name what it is for clarity, unless it's evident what the issue was. We have a strong line against sexual violence here on the channel, but everything else we like to have a conversation about in person. And so does anybody have any lines or veils they would like to add? And then Charlie, maybe after that, give a little bit of a caution warning about some of the things that we may be encountering during this session. Anybody? Cool. We always have the X card as an option if something gets a little bit too intense, if we need to pause, if there's anything else like that. So Charlie, what are some of the things that people who are out there watching may want to be aware of, may come up during the course of game that might be things that would be good for them to know, maybe if this isn't the stream for them?
Fair enough. So one thing I should mention about Into the Wyrd Wild and what we will be running tonight is that it does have elements of horror. In this case, there will be a little bit of body horror. There will not be any animal cruelty, but this does have to do with a story about hunters. So even if that is even if that bothers you, perhaps, this is not the case. This is not for you. But for the most part, I have tried to tool this to make it spooky, but not anything that will make anybody uncomfortable. As I like to think that horror should be oddly enough, a place of safety and a place of consenting scares, if that makes sense.
I love that definition. Yeah, no, I think that's great. So same thing for you watching. Like, even if we're halfway through and you're like, this is too much for me, pause it, walk away for a second, come back. Maybe it'll have gotten worse. Maybe just turn off the stream if you need to. Don't feel like you are beholden to keep on watching if something's making you uncomfortable. But just so everybody kind of knows the stakes. We'll also take an hour. We're going to take a break about an hour in just so we can get up and move around, stay hydrated, take care of ourselves, say hi to friends who may be visiting you also too. And then we'll come back and we'll play a little bit more after about 10 minutes. And then at the end, we'll do a short interview talking about our experience playing with Charles. So that's if anybody has any questions about that, feel free to drop them in the chat. We love it when the chat is active and is sharing with us what their thoughts and feedback are. But if you have any questions you want to ask, drop them in as we go, and I'll make sure to ask them at the end. With that said, I'm going to hand it over to Charles to take us into the game.
All right, let me just grab my notes and let's get to playing. So starting off the bat, we will say that the group of you are actually on a job. All four of you are either walking alongside or sitting on the back of a covered wagon carried by two horses. It is your job to deliver supplies to a hunting lodge that is far out in the wilderness. This entire area has been closed off by the local empress and is now a quote-unquote nature preserve. However, it's a little bit of a well-known secret that really this is just to keep other people from hunting on this property. And a 2 weeks journey into the land is where she has her royal hunting lodge. It is your job to discreetly deliver all of the food that they are going to need for the next season. It has just come off winter. And to bring back all of the pelts that they have collected in their hunting. You will be paid 1/10 the value of all the pelts, and that is not a small amount of money to shy away from. So, starting off the bat, why don't we introduce who is on this cart, who is driving this cart, and who is unfortunately walking along the side of the cart?
Does anybody have a person who would be good to be driving the cart? Because I'm happy to do it, but it's not what my character is good at.
I've looked at the character that seems most appropriate for this kind of mission, and I think that putting him behind the wheel, or as it were, reins of any large moving vehicle is probably a terrible idea.
Awesome. So I think that Velric's crest is at the helm of the cart. Velrix has a background as a mariner. And what is a cart but a land ship? And so with no one else feeling it, that's where Velrix is. He's a short, hawkish individual with burned skin and a mohawk, with rancid clothing. And a gravelly voice. Yeah.
Moving on, let's go to Vic. Vic, who are you playing?
I am playing Miss Fennel Lamborn. I am a rather robust woman with a very broken face. Her entire nose is a little bit crooked, but you only see it at certain angles. Like if you're a few feet away, you can not really make it out, but as soon as you come closer and closer, it distorts further and further. She is completely covered in tattoos like an illustrated woman, almost similar to people you would see at a carnival or a sideshow. And her clothes are very, very bright, very flamboyant. She's probably in her mid to late 70s. But looks very, very young. And her background's in herbalism, and her misfortune is abandonment.
Awesome.
Oh dear.
Vic,
all right, if that's the case.
Vic, do me a favor, turn your gain up just a touch.
Of course.
Go ahead, Charles.
Fair enough. And moving on, let's go to Mon.
All right, wonderful. Just to be clear, Rowan and Mon are sort of interchangeable when referring to me. Mon is my sort of online handle. Rowan, my usual name.
That's my bad. I
that's
only
all right.
know you by your Discord name.
No, that's fair, man. Just putting it out there. Okay, yeah. So the person that I am playing, one Oliver, is, if you were to take, let's say, Arnold's Conan, and you were to give him the face of Jim Carrey's The Grinch. He is a statuesque individual with an impish face, sunburned skin, silky hair, and he used to be a bit of an alchemist, possibly related to his quaint physique. And he had, in a previous life, if you will, been blackmailed. And now he's here.
Oh no. I keep forgetting about all the backgrounds in Knave are just tragic. So with that in mind, and for you, Richard, what is your character?
Yes, get ready for some tragic. So I've got Claw Mage Rogue. He is this, a pile of bones with a handful of scraps of clothing, holding on barely. He obviously hasn't eaten in days. His whole face is covered in this white makeup, only so that you can't see how horrendously bad his skin is.
Okay, well, this sounds like a group of people that would be traveling 2 weeks out on a long distance road trip. So with that in mind, the group of you, your job description was specifically as such. Go to the edge of the Crone's Woods, which is located 2 weeks away by the milestones. You will be greeted by a lookout who will lead you to the lodge by foot. Exchange the supplies for the pelts and return with them unspoiled. As of now, you are coming down on the final day of the 2 weeks. It has been a miserable journey through the grasslands. You have been going over hills that are just covered in thistles, small depressions in the ground that have turned into swamps, the entire time swatting away flies. But in the distance, you can see a dark green line on the horizon. The Crone Woods are now finally in sight. So, unless there's anything you would like to do before getting to the edge of the woods. Fair enough. All right, so
I think the objective is clear.
It's gonna be
After-
easy, right? Like we're almost done with this.
super
this
easy.
quest.
The
20
easiest part of
20-minute
you-
adventure. It's gonna be a breeze.
So you make your way along this trail, which is nothing more than a couple of milestones every mile, with just a little bit of beaten grass from the years of carts going through this area. When you finally make your way to the edge of the Crone Woods, unfortunately, you do not see any lookout. The only thing you see is a lone, ragged-looking pine tree next to the trail.
I'll bring this land ship to a halt. Hello.
No response.
Do any of you guys know where this guy was supposed to be?
So I believe he was supposed to be right there. I'm not quite sure though. He seemed like he was supposed to be there. That is at least what he wrote, I think, down. Very, very proper man.
It seems that the woods have taken him.
I mean, maybe the trail continues on into the woods a bit, and we just need to keep going.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we could try that. Is there an obvious place of ingress? Like, is there a trail that we can see here at all?
Yes, actually, the trail just continues right into the woods. Unfortunately, it looks like there are one small issue is that there's like the one lone tree has a bunch of scattered branches falling around it. So that's going to have to be cleared to get the horses because they're tired of walking.
Hmm.
Cool. Yeah, I guess I'll start clearing the branches out. Or does somebody want to unhook the horses?
What if they run away? Like, what if they go really fast and we never see them again? Like, we need to be cautious about it. We might need to chain them down or something like that.
We got to unhook them from the cart, and then we tie them up to a tree while we clear this stuff up. But that takes a bit.
But I think it needs to be like a tighter thing if we're going in there. What if they cut loose if something scares them?
Don't worry, I will take the horses. My genteel personality will calm them.
Absolutely.
This coming from a man who is 6 feet and
Fair enough. I will say, as the rest of you are clearing the branches out of the trees, and you go to tie the horses to the one lone tree, it's at that point, Olivier, notice the smell coming from the tree. It smells like rotted meat.
I see. My fellows, I think I might have identified the lookout.
And
And I Yeah, I point a large, sort of bulkish arm at this tree.
Sure enough, following the trunk up the tree, you realize now that the branches that are on the ground were cut off from this tree, hacked off, and you see up in the canopy of it is a body, unmoving, motionless.
All right, so that's new. I don't see a lot of that on the ocean. I guess we found him. You said the branches are cut off. Are they like they were all lopped off? Is there any other, like, is he hanging in the tree? Is he skewered through by the tree? How is he affixed to the tree?
He is actually sitting. It appears he is sitting on it. If you kind of squint your eyes and look up, you see that there is rope tied around his chest to the trunk, almost as if he tied himself to be able to just stay up in the tree.
Well, why would someone do this with intention? Like, do you think that if we came, we'd be able to see him all the way up there and then be able to join him? Or I don't quite understand. Sorry, that's impractical. How would he be able to tie himself up there? Like, I'm just trying to figure that out.
Well, the life of a watchman is isolated. Perhaps he has lost his mind.
How easy does it look like it would be to climb this tree?
It's to do it safely, it'll take a little bit of time. But it doesn't look like it's going to be dangerous. Just, take your time, take about a half hour. You can get up the tree.
Cool. Yeah, as somebody who's used to like ship's rigging, I'll try to make my way up and cut the body down.
Fair enough. You get up there, and the body is a sorry sight. With just, first off, do you have a knife on you?
No. I have I have a spear, but if there wasn't obvious danger, in all honesty, I didn't probably climb the tree with the spear. And so,
do you have most of your teeth intact?
I do. I also have some spikes with me, so I could easily like rough up the rope with the pitting of a spike. So,
fair enough. After a short period of time, you're able to cut through the rope, and the body falls to the ground like a sack of potatoes. Bump. Those of you who decide to get closer to the body, first off, smell the scent of putrefying meat. On top of that, the body looks like it has been starving. You see that the skin is close to the face, a gaunt expression, the eyes sunken, and they are missing several of their fingers. One hand is still clasping onto a hatchet, clearly what they used to hack off the limbs as they climbed up the tree.
Oh, I've seen this. I think he forgot food and started snacking on his own fingers.
Indeed, I do believe I've heard such tales before, but to see it in reality. What do you think kept him up there?
Why didn't he prepare for a snack, though? Like, if he didn't have a snack, I don't understand. Like, wouldn't he have it in his pocket? Wouldn't he have prepared? It just seems like it would be practical if you prepared a snack. Why
would you like to search his person for the possibility of a snack?
Yes, I would.
All right. There is no snack. But you do notice the entirety of his vest that he is wearing has been interlaced with some kind of stitching. I would say you, with a sailor background, recognize the stitching as not a stitching for clothing, but a stitching that is used to mend flesh. But for some reason, he has stitched it on his clothing of white with a white thread. Does anybody have a background in esotericism or religion?
I'm afraid
depending
not.
on how quickly this character dies, yes.
To most of you, it is just a strange thing to see all of this white thread woven through their clothing.
Yeah, that's not normal. Let's I mean, I guess let's put him in the back of the wagon for now. We can figure this out later.
Indeed, it does seem disrespectful to leave him by the road by himself.
And we're certain that won't cause any sort of like attention to come to us to have rotting flesh in the back of the cabin while we're all clean, like healthy flesh now with unopened wounds.
Well, I mean, the wagon's going to stay here either way, and the dead body's going to stay here either way. So, I mean, if it's down here on the ground, the likelihood that it's going to attract animals and other stuff seems way higher than if it's in the wagon.
Yes, of course. So they'll go for him instead of the horses.
Fair enough. At the mention of animals, that's a magic word. You all of a sudden realize the bugs are gone. Despite the putrefying flesh, not a single insect is on him, and the air has gone quiet. You do not hear even a single bird.
Well, that explains why he's starved.
Awesome. What all stuff did you say he had with him or on him besides his weird stitch clothing?
He had rope and he had a hatchet, and that was it.
That's okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm still gonna try to get him into the back of the wagon. So I don't know if anyone is helping me with that. If I'm dragging him, I'm dragging him.
No, I'd help you with that. But
Okay.
but then once you get into the wagon, I'm going to start stripping his clothes off to see if they fit.
I'd say they probably do. I will ask, would you like to put him next to the barrel of pickled meats or the 6 bottles of powerful whiskey?
I didn't know we had stuff in this wagon.
Would you like to hear what's on the wagon?
I would love to hear what's on the wagon.
All
Tell
right,
us
so
what's on the wagon.
all right, so in addition to it being a tented wagon, it came with 2 horses, neither of which none of you own, 3 barrels of oats, a barrel of pickled meats, a barrel of pickled root vegetables, 6 bottles of powerful whiskey, enough that could be possibly flammable, a small keg of salt, a small keg of sugar, 2 tinderboxes, and 3 spare wagon wheels.
Is there like a back gate? Like, is there a step up? I just want him off the ground functionally.
Yeah, so you can just toss them onto the back. I was just
Okay. We can pickle his meat later. Like, that's fine. Once we've emptied the barrel, we can fill it back up. Yeah, so we'll kind of put him on the back, like step up to the thing just to get him up off the ground. I am going to take one of these tinder boxes, and I am going to take some of this whiskey, though.
Fair enough. Go ahead and add 1 bottle of whiskey to your inventory and 1 tinderbox.
How large are these barrels of pickled meat and vegetable?
So the barrels of pickled meats, they are actually like full barrels. Not necessarily the size of a wine barrel, but enough that it's like probably it would take about 2 people to carry one, and it would still be heavy work.
Right. Okay. Indeed, alas, the distribution of snacks in this world, unfair. Can we, if we clear the branches of this tree, do you think that we can feasibly keep the wagon with us as we progress?
You imagine so. You're not quite sure what the trail is going to be like ahead, but the wagon is held up so far over hills, knolls, and of course various swampy lands. So it might be able to handle it.
Yeah, it seems sensible to bring it.
If we can bring it, then Velrix is all for that. So go back and start clearing out the branches, I guess, now that we don't have to unhook the horses.
Fair enough. Soon enough, the branches are cleared, and you mush the horses forward. That's dogs. Sorry. Push the horses forward into the Crone Woods. So, at first it seems like it's nothing out of the ordinary, just big trees, bits of underbrush, until you realize how utterly silent the woods are. There is not even the sound of a single bird, as you heard on the outskirts. And as you look around, those bugs that were ever present in the various hills and swamps, not a one. The trees seem to sway as if there is wind, but they do not make any sound. With that in mind, you continue on the trail. It's a little harder to follow in the woods, but it does seem like it's at least marked or there's been foot travel. After about half an hour, you come upon what looks like a ragged camp. There is tattered cloth on the ground from what was once a tent. You see a fire pit with rusted cooking implements.
See, this is where the snacks were.
Right.
He went to the road and left the snacks behind. Why would you do that?
It does seem a little bit older than usual, like maybe time.
It does seem, yes, it does seem, at least the cooking implements seem like they have seen better days. They distinctly have rust on them. And I will say, since you are getting you are looking at it with intent, you also notice that there appears to be a body curled up in the wreckage of the tent.
I'd like to take my axe out and poke the body, try to in a non-aggressive way, just try to flip it over to see if anything's going on with its face, like if it's maybe scared, and then very quickly pull my axe back down.
As you touch the body with the axe, I'm going to need you to make a dexterity roll.
Alrighty. I passed.
Charlie, you are
Charlie,
muted.
you're muted.
Oh my god, sorry. Fair enough.
Such a 2020 move.
Yeah. God. You go to poke the body, and as you do, you hear the sound of a single bell catch a small glittering in the rubble around it, and pull back just in time to watch a snare snap up into the tree line from around the body. The body is pulled in half, and you see a scattering of leaves and branches. You realize that it wasn't a body, it was clothing stuffed with leaves and branches. But as the snare flies up, all of you hear the sound of bells. You see the rope dangling above with bells attached to it.
Ah, that's a very pretty sound.
Is it within, how high up is the rope? Charlie, you muted again.
Charlie, it's happening again.
So sorry. The rope is about 15 feet up. As it activated, you can see where the snare line goes up the side of a tree. If you would like to cut it down, you can do so quickly.
Yeah, I'm gonna run over and try to cut it down real quick.
Fair enough. The part of the snare falls down, the ringing stops, and the woods go silent again.
That's probably just like a normal just security alarm for.
I mean, they're all hunters, aren't they?
Right.
So maybe they're just, they're making sure there's nothing hunting them.
But why didn't it attract anything? Why hasn't anything come out? Like that's a little concerning, don't you think? It made a loud noise. We don't see anything around.
Well, he was in the tree. I mean, we already know he couldn't come because,
Not him, but anything else in these woods.
Yeah, but if it's there to catch anything that would eat humans, then we don't have anything to worry about, because obviously there's nothing around that's going to eat humans to get caught in the human trap.
I don't eat humans. Do you eat humans?
No, not for weeks.
Yes, it's only in desperate situations.
My past has taught me not to answer such questions.
Otherwise, you are legally culpable. But
does this look like the place we're supposed to pick up the furs, or does this seem like it is not the final destination?
no, this is this appears to be, well, it was a just kind of small camp. The place
Okay.
you are trying to go to is the Empress's Royal Lodge.
Yeah, it didn't
None of you have
strike me
Right.
that this was the Royal Lodge, but
No.
Not quite. Not quite.
Fair enough. Is there anything else you would like to do with the camp, with the snare, with the now desiccated fake body?
I'm gonna put the bells in the wagon. Not in a jaunty please ring as we travel way, but in a we can use these bells later, but they're not making a lot of noise way.
Fair enough. You just toss them on top of the still putrefying body.
Yeah.
I want to stick to my my thing and I go through the clothes and see if any of them fit me.
These ones, I assume you just throw them on top of the dead man's clothing that you have on top of you, correct? Okay, yes. Triple layers, better than one. So, sure enough, these ones fit as well.
You're just one of those people who, whenever you pick up clothes, they just fit you, huh?
Well, I mean, nothing really fits me, so everything kind of fits me.
I wish that was true for me, Oliver says, being this enormous hunk of a man for whom no clothing has ever been made in the right size.
Do we, is the fire pit's dead and cold?
Yes. This fire pit has not been used in a long time. This entire thing just looks like almost like poorly set up like trap. But yeah, it's meant to look like a camp. This camp hasn't been used in who knows how long.
Right. Is there anything that we can see? Like, does this camp seem like it was actually set up at some point as a camp? Or does it seem like assembled from various stuff to look like a camp?
It does seem like it was used as a camp. It just looks like it's also been kind of left to decay. It does seem like the tent was intentionally cut. There is some tattering that just comes with age, but there are strike marks in it as if it was slashed or something.
All right. Do we see any blood or any signs that whoever was here may have been forcibly removed?
Looking at the campsite, it doesn't seem so. However, looking at, I'm sorry, it was Claw? Yes, looking at Claw's clothing, sure enough, you see a couple of good old-fashioned knife marks in the back of his newfound vest and jacket. And as well as, sure enough, some dried blood.
Nice. Stylish.
Yes, it keeps out more of the cold than the tatters of a handful of strips that I've found before.
When we're done, we'll get you nicer clothes, maybe, like nicer outfits. It doesn't suit you very much. You must look proper, no matter where we're going. Is there any odd plants in the area by any chance?
It doesn't seem so. You do notice further up the trail, it does seem like some clover is starting to sprout.
All right, nothing that is indicative of things that are usually grown by blood or anything like that. Correct?
No, does not seem so.
Okay,
at least not around here.
I never liked the carnivorous plants.
Fair enough. Anything else you would like to
adjust Claw's outfit to try to kind of hide the marks with one of the layers very quickly, but tries to do it in a way that Claw's not paying attention.
To the best of your ability, it's covered up about as well as it can be now. With that being said, anything else you would like to do in the ruined camp before moving on?
No.
Fair
I
enough.
think the path is clear.
All right. You push the horses forward and follow down the trail. Walking
Horses,
forward.
mush.
Mush, yes, Dino horses. Yes, that's me, Charles Ferguson-Avery, horsemaster. Anyway, moving the horses forward. The trees begin to thin, and the ground cover begins to grow taller. Before you realize it, you have entered into a clearing. The ground is populated with knee-high clover and the occasional bush of thistle. The sky opens up, and once again, completely silent. The trees seem to sway. The clover seems to sway, yet no sound can be heard around here.
Y'all notice how quiet it is?
Yeah, so I was going to say, it's been a while since I've not had flies on me. And by a while, I mean, I've always had flies on me.
You know,
Yes.
I didn't string those bells up in a jaunty way earlier, but maybe we should have.
Yeah, that was a very nice ringing, wasn't it?
I guess
Fair.
we could hear things coming if we did that. It seems like a proper idea. We could really benefit from that. Also, very, very much not benefit from that. So we should err on the side of caution. Maybe one bell, and have control of when we ring it.
Fair enough. Do you enter into the field of clover and thistle?
I mean, I don't think we have another option as far as
I
the
think-
factors
I
and
think-
stuff.
The cart
I
will
think
go
I
around.
might have some kind of play here. I think because I've rolled up Oliver with absolutely no redeeming qualities, save for one. And that is that he has a very high constitution, and therefore this bastard will just not die. So I think he's quite aware of that, as aware as he is of his other shortcomings, and he will say, I think we may be walking into some kind of ambush. This silence, it doesn't sit right with me. Behold, I will use my unconquerable physique to draw out our attackers. Wait here, and I will walk confidently forward.
Um,
I say, wait, and I toss him one of the bells.
Ah, good thinking. Ding, 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 ding.
Do I perhaps?
there is.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Don't worry about it. It was about the thistle and the clover.
For a brief moment, nothing happens. You step into the thistle and clover, ringing the bell, and at first all seems well. But then, sure enough, you hear the sound of something whizzing through the air on the other side of the tree line. Oh, shit.
Oh no.
All right. I'm sorry, what is your armor?
Yes, so my armor is 14.
14. Okay. You just managed to dip out of the way as two bolts zip past you, burrowing into the field. It is an ambush, and you hear feral shouts and screams on the other side of the field as four figures move out from the dark.
Aha, the killers are revealed.
I do want to point out you got very lucky with those two rolls.
Just as you planned.
Just
How was it an axe or a hatchet that guy had?
it was a hatchet.
Okay.
Still, it would be usable as a weapon. I will say it would do 1d6 damage if you would like to use it.
I mostly want something that I can throw. That's fine. So
Fair
that's why I was
enough.
asking axe versus hatchet. So the answer was 100% what I wanted. And so, yeah, are they charging? Are they shooting arrows? What are they doing?
Two are charging with what appear to be boar spears, and two more are hanging in the back with what appear to be crossbows. Now, I know Knave does it one particular way, but go ahead and everybody just roll your dexterity so we can get initiative.
Okay. So, do we just say the number on this, or is it that we roll under our defense? How does
For
Ned do
this, just go ahead and say the number.
it? Okay, that's a 10 from me.
I've got a 17.
17.
I rolled a 15.
I
All
got
right.
a 9.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Sorry, I actually have an 11 if I count the bonus. So, there you go.
Fair enough.
Oh, if you want our bonus, then I have a 19.
Oh, yes, go ahead and all right, so 19 for
For
Tony.
Valorix.
Okay. So, with that, top of the round is actually Tony, whose character's name I am
It's
forgetting, unfortunately.
Velrix.
Belric. Okay.
So Velrix, I mean, how far away are these individuals? Like, as the crow flies, or as the Velrix
They are
looks?
probably within running distance. I would say 30 feet. If you wanted to charge them and get an attack in, you could.
I don't. I want to throw. Because I'm on top of the wagon. I want to throw this axe that that I have.
Go ahead and for ranged attacks, go ahead and roll wisdom.
Wisdom.
Yes.
That's a 17.
17. Sure enough, that definitely hits. Go ahead and roll a d6 for damage.
That's a 5.
All right. Shooting the moon, you hold the hatchet aloft, chuck it into the field, and watch as it plants itself firmly into the head of one of the charging figures with spears. It goes down and disappears into the thistle and clover. Now that they're a little bit closer, you get a good look at them. They are wearing the clothing, the royal seal of the Empress's hunting royal hunters on their chest. Their clothing is ragged, dirty, coated with blood and spots, and they are wearing masks made from pelts with teeth woven into them. They look monstrous to behold. Thankfully, there's one less now.
They're weak to hatchets.
Their weakness is hatchets, and hitting them really hard with them.
I don't know why they went out like that.
Oh no! Quickly, you must aid me. I need a hatchet. I only have this warhammer.
Maybe
And
they're
with
weak
that-
to warhammers also.
It shall have to be put to the test.
And with that, we move on to Claw.
Claw is going to pull out his bow and pull back and let an arrow fly. And that's going to be a 22.
That hits. Go ahead and roll for damage.
And a 6.
6. Turns out they're weak to arrows also. It went very well.
It must be weapons made by the hand of man. That must be what they're weak to.
The two with spears are now dropped. Another one takes a bolt somewhere to the throat. You hear a sharp little yelp, but then silence as they fall down. The two with crossbows stay in the distance. And with that, it is now crossbow's turn.
Wonderful.
One of them continues to fire at you, Olivier.
All right.
I'm assuming a 6 does not hit. So
No.
we're just going to move on from that as the bolt goes wide. All right, and with that, it is now, let's see, Velcro's turn. I'm sorry, is it Velcro?
No, it's Fennel.
Fennel.
I was so confused. I was like, is there another character that goes before me? But everyone's already gone.
I have a great mic. That's what's happening. Yeah, the headphones are
Nice.
So she'd have to run. She doesn't have anything ranged. But can you throw an axe?
it depends
Are
on
they
the
too
kind of
far off?
axe.
It's
is
not a great axe. It is just a regular ordinary axe. It's the one that has D8.
I'll allow it, but I'll bump up the required value of the roll. The hatchet, the only reason I say that is the small hatchet can definitely be thrown. The bigger axe, a little more difficult.
That makes sense. Already, we got a 13.
13. Unfortunately, it goes technically not wide, but short. It ends up somewhere in the middle of the field, and you lose sight of it.
I'm usually so good at like keeping track of these things. I had nothing else to work with, and you need to understand. I'm sorry, friends, if we die.
And with that, another one of the crossbow goes. This one shooting at Olivier as well.
All right.
A 16.
A 16, indeed. Yes, I believe that would probably hit, wouldn't it?
Fair enough.
That's going for my armor defense, I take it?
Yes.
Yes. That does beat it.
All right. A bolt whizzes through the air for 4 damage.
All right, so I have 5 health. So I think what happens is Olivier is sort of power walking through this field, and he says, "Good work. We will soon defeat these villains, and we'll."
Right between the 3rd and 4th rib. Hopefully it's not lethal.
No matter, my body is invincible.
And with that, it is your turn, Olivier.
Wonderful. I will go forth, and well, I don't have any hatchets, but I do have this warhammer. So I think what this is it is something that has been strapped to Olivier's back for a while, and I think he sort of strainedly, as he's hit with this crossbow bolt, unchains this from his back, or loosens the belt that it's attached with, and it's if you were to just basically fill a bucket with molten metal, let it cool, and put it on the end of a stick. I think that would be an apt description of what he's wielding here. And like a weight toss, he swings it around and tries to bring it down to the attack. If I can get to this other individual,
I will say at a full charge, you can definitely reach them just in time for one
Wonderful.
strike.
Okay, I will do exactly that. And I think that Olivier, wounded as he is, I think you sort of see him strain his neck, and it's like how in these old movies, in old films like Conan or Willie, you would see just these pronounced veins and muscles on these sorts of characters, and you just see this mountain with long silky black hair move forward like a crushing wind and bring down this hunk of metal on a stick.
Fair enough.
Let's say that is going to be his strength roll, probably.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
Well, I'd like everyone to welcome the first natural one of the session. That is...
As you are reeling back for this strike, you slip a disc in your back.
Oh,
no. It is a swing and a wild miss.
oh no.
Thankfully, though, you're very close to them, and they both have crossbows.
Oh dear.
Yes. So with that, top of the round again, it is Belric's turn.
If I throw a spear at these people with my good friend Olivier in the middle, is Olivier potentially going to get hit by that spear?
I would say if you attack Olivier is currently engaged with one of them.
If I attack the other ones, okay.
If you attack the other one, it'll be fine.
Okay, I'm gonna throw my spear at the other individual. That's a nat 20 because I just soaked up the opposite side of that luck. Way to drain it out. By the way,
to drain it out.
If you, I always roll black rainbow dice on stream. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. I think they're absolutely beautiful. If you want to go check them out, you can. They crit 5% of the time on a D20. It's absolutely amazing. And so
you're not going to get those numbers anywhere else. Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, and I believe that's a D8. Is that correct?
That is going to be a D8, and it's your choice whether you would like that to roll twice or roll once and double it.
Well, I already rolled once, so let's go with roll twice because I know that it's a
Fair
very good
enough.
number. It's 7 and then 5 for 12.
5 for 12. Okay. As
And I already know they're weak against weapons made by human flesh. So
as Olivier steps up, slips a disc, and plants the hammer into the ground, you hear the one let out a ragged laugh before it is pinned by its head to the side of a tree with a spear.
Wild.
Yes.
Nice.
And with that, the remaining one, armed with a crossbow, standing in front of you, Olivier, drops it, and you can hear a faint sobbing sound coming from behind their mask as they weakly and shakily hold up their hands.
You know, I must say, using the meat shield was very good. It worked well.
I hate that worked. I cannot believe that worked.
And indeed, I have not died. Therefore, I am immortal.
5 hit point meat shield. May it stand the test of time.
I'm gonna move the cart into the field, I guess. Start moving over towards where the sobbing individual and our mostly broken meat shield are. Yeah,
I'm fine.
Fair enough. At this point, the sobbing person takes off their horrible pelt tooth mask, and you see a tired and ragged person with hair streaming down their face. They have an odd look in their face, slightly more animal. Their teeth are a little longer than they should be. Their nails a little thicker and longer. Their sobbing is somewhere between a half growl and just, well, regular sobbing. They do not seem like they are aggressive. They seem scared, although there is a hint of malice and violence in their face.
You unfortunate looking thing. Why did you wait till your friends fell?
They just say, "Not a thing, Royal Hunter. I didn't want this."
Oh no. I wish I had something to offer you. Would you like a ration or something?
At the sound of ration, their eyes snap open, and you hear this weird, almost crazed laugh kind of like bubbling from the back of their throat, and they say, just, "Food? You have food?"
Yes, I have food.
I mean, we are here to deliver the food to the hunters, aren't we?
Yeah. I we were supposed to give you food.
At that point, they kind of like, the animal look in their face sort of snaps, and they all of a sudden look at the four of you with very human eyes. And at that point, the sobbing really starts. Takes a little bit to like console them and just talk them down. Would you like to feed them anything?
I would like to cut up my ration. I know, just for narrative sake, and I'm going to hand it to them. And I'm probably also going to get out my instrument very soon to try to soothe them more. If you'd prefer an ascending order of the instrument coming out, then the food, I can do that too.
Fair enough. They do not seem too interested in the instrument, and when you hand them the food, they actually instinctively take it, quickly move away out of arm's reach and then just scarf it down incredibly quickly. After that, they kind of have this like brief moment, and they seem a little bit dazed, but responsive. At this point, they just kind of look around to the four of you with a mix of an apologetic look, concern, and also just exhaustion.
I mean, if you're still hungry, we got some pickled meat, we got some pickled fruit. We don't have anything really not pickled, but if you like pickles, we got you for days. Also, if you just need like to sit, because sometimes after a meal I just like to sit. Sit here, or you can sit in the back next to the horribly putrefying body.
They just sort of shake their head and then sort of like put their hand on their stomach. Say that like, I'm afraid if I eat any more, I'll get sick. I'll wait for now.
All right. So we're supposed to get the furs from the Empress's lodge, and so do you know where that is?
They nod, but just say very quietly, you shouldn't go there.
Okay, but we have to. That's the job. And I mean, like, if we go back, I think not only do we not have money, but we are in debt because we ate a bunch of pickled meat on the way here.
I will also probably die.
There's that too.
She just kind of like looks at you with the the semi-patched up air bolt, and just kind of like gives an apologetic look before looking down at the ground.
You don't have to go with us. If you could just like point or tell us how to get there, you can go back and wait at the campsite back there or at the edge of the forest, and we can pick you up on the way back.
She seems agreeable to this, nods, and then points to the other side of the tree line. She says, just go straight that way. There's a bit of a trail. Just don't go inside.
Oh, but are the furs inside?
Seems kind of like a little bit like torn up, like she's trying to communicate something but can't quite get it out.
Don't worry about it. You just go lay down, have a rest. We'll be
enough.
back.
And with that, she does wait for the food before leaving. What would you like to give her? There is oats, meat, and root vegetables.
I guess the root vegetables will probably keep best out of the brining and not take a lot to prep. So that just seems like the call.
Fair enough. You hand her a. Oh dear.
Somebody.
Think we've lost somebody.
Should we wait for that, or?
Let's you know what, it's actually maybe a good time. Let's take a little bit of a break. We are going to take just a 10-minute break. We'll be right back once we figured out what happened to the internet connection. By the way, here on Plus One EXP, we don't believe that content creators have to pay to have content, or the game designers have to pay to have content created for them. If you want to help support us, you go to coffee.com/plus1exp to help support it. It actually goes to just helping pay our team better. Our team doesn't include me. It includes our graphic designer, Johnny, and our editor, Tristan. Both of them get paid, but I would love to pay better, as well as letting us do new things and expand the channel. But if you want to support us in other ways, you can go to plus1exp.com, check out our games, our bespoke bombs, other stuff like that. But we are right now playing Into the Wyrd Wild. It's an OSR supplement. We're going to take just a short little break while we figure out what happened. We're going to come back in just about 10 minutes to play a little bit more and to find out what happens in this cabin and the horrible reasons we shouldn't go there, but are going to anyways. So we'll be back in just a minute to do all that. In the meantime, if you haven't got up to move around, stretch, get a drink of water, tell somebody you love them, go do that right now. It's a good thing to do. So we'll be back in just one moment to play some more.
I love the no brand wrapper. It's so good.
And we are back here on Plus One EXP's actual play channel. Today we are playing Into the Wyrd and Wild, which is a system agnostic OSR supplement about the weird and wild spaces of the wilderness between the town and the tombs that your adventurers typically explore. We just took a little bitty break for a number of reasons. We are all now back, plugged into different connections, doing better than ever, and ready to... well, I mean, one of us almost died, but is potentially immortal, but also possibly die for good. So we are going to hop right back in. Charlie, I'm going to hand it over to you, and as long as you are unmuted, you can take us right back into the game.
I am unmuted.
There you go.
Yes, so last we left off, the group has entered into the woods. They have realized that the things are not normal. The lookout that was normally supposed to greet them was, for some reason, had to tie themselves to the tree. They sprung a trap with bells on it, and they were recently attacked by the actual royal hunters themselves, now sporting strange animalistic masks and odd features that they did not have beforehand.
It happens.
And yeah, it happens. And with that, there is one lone survivor of the hunting part of the royal hunters who has chosen to throw down their weapons and become agreeable with the party. Currently, they are eating what appears to be a pickled potato. No cooking needed, just...
Yeah,
Just
some
having
good
a little
pickled
nibble.
potatoes. I would like to unceremoniously retrieve all of my weapons, and we should probably toss the weapons of these other folks in the back of the cart. Maybe this crossbow should come. One of these crossbows should come with us.
Fair enough. I will say the weapons that you threw into the field, the ones that did not hit, so unfortunately the one axe, that will require a genuine search to find. The ones that were buried in the body, so the spear, the hatchet. What else was thrown at them?
That was it.
An arrow.
An arrow,
an
right. Those
My
can be
axe.
recovered. The axe, unfortunately, that will require a wisdom roll to search through the knee-high thistle and clover. But yes, everything else can be retrieved and thrown in the back of the wagon, next to the body and the barrel of pickled beets.
Very nice.
Can I retrieve it with a 15?
With a 15, meets it, beats it. Yes, you, after like, searching around, you do manage to find it.
Mhm. Can we take a closer look at one of these felled hunters and maybe remove their masks, see if they have the same sort of strange marking, strange appearance like this one that is still alive?
Yes. Looking at all of them, they all have the same gaunt features, animalistic look, and all look starving. If you go so far as to lift the shirt, you sure enough see that their skin is tight against their ribs. Their organs and muscles are in perfect definition. They have not eaten in a long time, and as well, including the still living hunter who is currently munching on another potato. They are all missing fingers, pieces of themselves, and they are wrapped in ragged, still bleeding cloths. Most of their wounds are even still open.
Maybe we take these masks also, just in case they become useful later.
That's
I was
actually a
going
very
to-
good idea.
Absolutely.
Fair enough. You may add 4 pelt masks to your inventory. I will say they smell terrible.
It seems like their bodies have been altered somehow, which I, of course, know nothing about and has nothing to do with my alchemical background and blackmail situation, or my enormous muscles.
Fair enough.
Of course not. Why would you mention those things?
That was quite a lot of notes, too.
I am a very clear person.
We'll keep on mushing these horses forward.
Fair enough. And with that, you part ways with the remaining hunter, who takes actually has gone ahead and helped themselves to the pickled meats and has taken out a chunk of what appears to be you imagine it's pork. You're not sure. It all kind of like changes to the same color after a certain bit in the pickling brine.
This hunter is like my favorite. They're like, yeah, no, I'm full after that ration, but also go ahead and give me some more.
Yes, they are clearly getting a little bit sick, but they cannot stop eating. And with that, they head on their way outside, one side of the clover field, and you continue on deeper into the woods. At this point, the sun is beginning to set. It is growing a little darker. And right at twilight, you pull up onto the Royal Hunting Lodge. It is immaculate. A beautiful, while the word lodge would make it seem like it's just a cabin, this is a wooden building covered in decoration, ornament, made to... It's a rich person's idea of a hunting lodge. It is covered in... it's a rustic. But yes, it is a 2-story wooden lodge sitting in a clearing. There are traces that it was at one point painted with folk decoration, now crumbling away. There is a lone doorway that sits into it, and it is covered by antlers. As if the antlers, every time there was a successful hunt, they would put an antler next to the door, now forming a massive cavern that enters into the doorway. Yes, that's what you wind up on.
I'm gonna park the wagon where I like how every single time I start talking, I in my character's voice before I decide if it's me or the character talking.
Very good.
I'm going to park the wagon, this land boat, and tie up the horses, and we'll give them some oats because they've done a good job getting us here. And
fair enough. They enjoy their oats.
Well, I guess we were supposed to have a guide. Did any of you guys know where they keep these furs?
I wonder if we have to knock on the front door.
Well, the guy said don't go inside, so maybe there's like a fur building outside.
I'm gonna wander around the back and see if I see anything.
Fair enough. I will say, as you are walking by and getting a little closer, you spot that on the second floor, one of the shutters on the window is open. And sure enough, you see swaying in the dark there is the telltale sign of a pelt, some kind of deer. And it appears that the second floor of this building is used for tanning and curing. So all you got to do is get in that second floor.
Yeah, I found it. I didn't even have to go around the back. It's up there.
We could. Well, I have a chain. If somebody has something rather heavy that they could possibly, throw up there, we could probably aim and get up and crawl up the chain. I imagine I have enough.
That sounds great. We also have this rope too.
Oh, rope. I pardon me. I never considered rope. I immediately went for steel.
I mean, chain is stronger. I mean, I get it.
It is strong.
It's a very clever idea. And then if we can cut it, we can't cut chain.
It's true. But also, these things are weak to weapons forged by human hands, and I feel like a chain is way closer to that than.
Oh my god.
And if we need to throw something, I found this anchor, and he holds up a bear trap.
Oh. Where did you happen to find that?
Have you been carrying that this entire time?
Yes, it's my strength anchor.
Oh.
I saw that on your character sheet, and I was like, oh yeah, that'll come in handy.
Bear traps always come in handy.
Bear trap always good.
Like if you have an option to put a bear trap on your character sheet and you don't, you missed out.
Absolutely.
I love this idea of going in on the second floor. Is anyone here good at throwing things? I mean, I did a good job. I mean, I threw some stuff earlier.
We'll say you can, with the rope as a tool, you will not have to roll to get up there, but you will have to roll to be quiet. That will be a dexterity roll. If you are choosing to be quiet.
I'm certainly not qualified to be quiet.
All right. Well, I'll see if I can get up there. We'll see what we can do. Yeah. So I'm gonna try to get up, quietly. Like I'm not like ultra stealth mode, but I am certainly trying to not draw attention since we were told not to go inside this place, and I am doing that.
All right, give a dexterity roll.
That is a 12.
12. Okay.
Could be worse.
You make it up there, and technically you only cursed once while trying to get up there.
Yeah, it wasn't
and you let out a little bit of a heavy breath when you get up there. That's normal. And sure enough, you stand on the second floor, surrounded by row upon row of pelts, all tanned and cured. I will say, as you walked up, got to the edge of the building, and went up, and those of you who are standing close by to the building, you do see a scattering of something pale on the outside of the, basically on the ground around the lodge. Would anybody like to take a closer look at it?
So while I'm looking down, I see things like scatter away. Is that what you're saying? Or I see them scattered about?
Scattered about, just kind of like in the dirt.
I'll have a look.
While y'all are doing that, y'all keep on playing. I'll be right back.
Fair enough.
All right.
Looking around in the ground below, sure enough, it is the unmistakable shape of human bones. You see teeth, you see vertebrae, and you see bits of broken skull, as well as femurs that have been cracked open and their middle parts scraped away for the marrow.
It's the characteristic shape of human bones.
It would seem that there are more people who needed snacks.
Snacks are very important. It's important to have snacks.
I mean, we're bringing the snacks. Maybe we took too long. Is this our fault?
No, I think the message that's being presented to us here right now is that perhaps the real snacks were inside us all along.
Or
Oh my god.
misbehave while Tony's away.
You were invited here. You are a guest.
It's an open goal. It's an open goal.
My character has been upstairs and has no idea what's been happening down below.
Terrible.
You like it that way?
You'll see it on the video afterwards. It's I refuse to repeat it.
That's great.
I'm disgusted.
As is your right.
But as you are talking about the qualities of human bone, it is you on the second floor that all of a sudden hear sounds from beneath you. It is the unmistakable sound of foot on step. Someone is coming up a staircase.
And I see just pelts. Do I see a doorway? I can't hear
Charlie, you are.
My bad. I hit it at the wrong time.
This joke is going to last us all night.
In here, you cannot see anything. One, it is completely dark. All of the other windows have been shuttered, and all of the pelts are just swaying there inside this room.
Okay, how about this? Directionally, can I generally tell where the noise is coming from?
Yes, it is coming to the left. So it would have to be possibly dead center of this room.
Okay. I'm gonna move towards that wall, and start looking for a doorway, like
Fair enough.
as quickly while still being quietly as possible.
Fair enough. Give me another dexterity roll because you're in the frying pan now.
That's a 22.
Fair enough. You dip into the dark and start slinking along the walls. Unfortunately, it only appears like there is one way up, and it is that stairwell in the center of this room. And as well, you see coming up the stairs are two more of those hunters. One is armed with what looks like a wicked skinning knife, and the other one carrying a two-handed woodsman axe. They heard noise, and they are searching the room. For now, you are hidden.
Great. So, but it is just coming. There's not a doorway. It is a stairwell that opens up into the room. Is my understanding correct? Okay.
Yes. Probably a hatch, but it seems like that was taken away time ago.
No, that's fine. I'm 100% on board with that. Either way, I just wanted to make sure I was properly understanding it. Just so I get a clear sense, it is coming up into the middle-ish of the room, not along a wall.
Correct.
Okay, that's great. I would like to move behind the point of ingress, and feel horrible about it because I realize that they are human entities with rational thought. Stab one of these guys straight in the back.
You are still hidden, so I will say go ahead and give me a strength roll. And what weapon are you using again?
I'm using my spear.
Ah, that's right.
And I would like to, the one with the big weapon, that's the one I am aiming at.
Fair enough.
That's a 19.
19. Sure enough, that hits. Go ahead and roll for damage.
That is an 8.
An 8. You get it right in the middle of the back. Right in between the shoulder blades, it lets out a shriek before it falls down the staircase.
Since I have a spear, could I try to like slide it towards the other? I basically want to slam it into the other person if possible.
Go ahead and give me another strength roll. This one at disadvantage.
At disadvantage, all right.
At disadvantage.
Well, I rolled a 9, and then I rolled a 19.
Okay, well, we'll say that you have a little bit of a shield going on right now. You have it pinned. You have the one body pinned to the spear. That body is, for the most part, dead. And the other one with the skinning knife turns to you. Shouts are heard all around, and you hear more shouts coming from downstairs. Everyone outside,
I found him!
Yes, everyone outside, you hear this as well. Go ahead, everybody give me a dexterity roll for initiative.
Okay.
That's another nat 20, by the way. I do roll black rainbow dice here on the channel. Where 5% of the time or more, 5%. You'll get a critical success on a d20. Their dice are absolutely beautiful. Their dice bags, which are these beautiful things behind me, and their artwork is absolutely phenomenal. If you're a publisher out there also too, check them out. They love partnering with game designers and publishers.
Very nice.
All right.
I have rolled a 7.
7. All right.
I rolled a dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Okay.
With the bonus, I rolled a 21.
Fair enough. Wow. Okay. You guys go first. So at the top is Belric, with the spear still sticking into the body, and the other one with the skinning knife, trying to like kind of, you're doing that like table thing where you're moving to one side of the body and then the other side, and he's trying to get to you. But
yeah, I'm gonna do that thing where I realize there's a spear in the middle of the body that's sticking through it. Is it sticking through the guy?
I will say, sure.
I mean, I'm happy to roll like a 50-50 chance if you want me to.
You know what? It's kind of funny. Go ahead. Like, we'll say it's sticking through.
Realize that that I can just stab through this guy if I really, really want to, and do that horrible thing, because again, these are people with some level of intellect and will still, and like go back, forth, and then just all of a sudden realize I can go and shove it through this guy and try to stab the other one.
Fair enough. Go ahead and give me a strength roll.
That is a 15 total. Also, welcome, Damn Fine Cup of Streaming. Thanks for rating us. Good to see you as always.
Yes, 15 meets it. You take one step forward, pivoting your body, and then throw the entirety of your arms and your body through the spear, through the body, and stab into the one across from it. Go ahead and give me a damage roll.
That's another 8.
Fair enough. You pin this.
No one
Can't
believes I'm actually
believe
rolling.
this.
No one believes I'm actually rolling my dice right now. Like, I want to point out, everyone out
This
there
is
watching
an
is like,
honor system.
sure,
Honor
sure,
system,
sure,
right?
sure.
Yeah.
And sure enough, now you have 2 people skewered on your spear. I will say at this point, it's kind of stuck in there. It's going to take a strength.
We'll come back to this later.
Fair enough. Everyone else, now we go down to Richard with the 21.
I was thinking, can I get my bow and draw it and point it at the door so that if anyone opens the door, I can loose an arrow?
Sure thing. So we'll say, yep, that's a readied action. So the second anybody comes to that door, they get an arrow in them. And with that, we head over to Vic.
So Fennel's going to try a stunt of sorts.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to very much hold on. One of them is ahead, correct? Of the other one?
Yes.
And we're still near the stairs, correct?
Well, you guys are outside unless you climbed up into the peltery.
Oh.
You're outside on the first floor.
Mm.
Yeah, so far as I know, I'm the only one who went up.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I'm in that case, I'm definitely supporting my dear friend and putting some caltrops on the floor as well near that door.
Fair enough. All right, you scatter some caltrops onto the floor, and yep, that's your action. Meanwhile, there's screaming up above on the second floor.
This is either going very well or very poorly.
It doesn't sound like screaming. So
Yeah, it's more like got him, I got him. Like,
I'm sticking to my virtue and my vice.
fair enough. And with that, Belric, you see this up above. Now the footsteps pick up, and you watch as 2 more come up out of the staircase. One lashes at your legs while still on the stairwell with another skinning knife. And it gets a 15. Does that hit your
that's
armor?
gonna hit.
Fair enough. Oh boy, for 3 damage.
Okay, I'm still alive.
Okay. Fair enough. Just for narration's sake, how many hit points do you have?
I have 6. So my leg is
okay.
lacerated
It's
bad,
bad.
but I'm
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Fair enough. You get a nice deep cut in your leg, but you are still standing, and you still have 2 people stuck onto your spear.
I'm still standing.
Yes. And with that, we go to the top of the round again. Belric, it is your turn.
So these guys, are they the top of the stairs?
One is actually remaining just on the just below the landing so that they can get at your legs.
Cool. I'm gonna dump these dead bodies with the spear inside of it down the stairs at these guys.
Yeah, I have a question as well. Since we came back to the top of the turn order, I do believe that I should maybe have been part of the turn order.
Oh, no, you got a 7. These guys got an 11. So, wait, no, you're right. Oh my god. I'm so sorry.
So we'll come back to that in a second.
We'll come back to that. Yes, Mons, my bad.
All right. Okay, let's see. Because I am maimed, so my options I feel are limited. Or rather, they would be limited if Olivier was not ostensibly immortal. Exactly. So naturally, he will take the only logical course of action, following his vice of being a very focused sort of individual, if you will, and he will head to the. Are there any windows on the first floor that we can see other than the
Yes.
door?
Yes, most of them do have shutters on them, but you can just easily push those away and barrel through them.
Yeah, I have a warhammer. I will remove. I will remove what obstructs my path.
Fair enough. I will say with the Warhammer as a tool,
Mhm.
you can easily crash through. We'll say not just the window, but also just a good chunk of the windowsill, and just easily kind of saddle through that.
All right, great. Yeah, I will enter through the window. And
Fair enough.
yeah, what do I see when I come into the window?
All right, so this is where things get a little interesting. As you step into the lodge, the place where the other hunter said you should not go into, you step into a nightmare room. There are pelts in this room as well. These ones
Okay.
are human. And in addition to that, you see in the far corner of the room is what appears to be some horrible human-shaped totem made out of hunting tools with a singular pelt of an iridescent gray sitting there. When your eyes catch that idol, I need you to make a charisma roll.
Very well, I shall do so. So this is charisma. Okay. That is a well-rounded 10.
Fair enough. As you look into the idol, and your eyes meet that pelt, you all of a sudden feel yourself sort of pull back. You hear whispers, and the idol tells you, "There is nothing to fear here. Drop your weapons." And while you don't drop your weapons, you do put down your hands. Everyone else, or I guess so characters' names. Richard and Vic. You witness as all of you, with all the bluster of a immortal can have, bashes through the window, and then all of a sudden just goes still. Their warhammer dropping down, their eyes transfixed, and with a tranquil expression on their face. And with that, we're going to go ahead and go to the top of the round, as we were supposed to.
I want to, not aware of any of this happening downstairs.
Yes.
So since one guy's on the landing, one guy's further back behind him, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to just take these. We've got movement again. I'm going to take both of these bodies. We're going to look weird for just a second, because rather than me try to manage moving everything around only to move it around again, I'm just going to leave it the way it is for a second. There we go. And I'm going to basically push these bodies down the stairs, trying to knock these other guys back down the stairs with the two bodies that had the spear skewered through them in some sort of near human tangle of flesh that I've
shish kebab.
Yes, I will say it's clever.
As a player, feeling horrible the entire time, and as a character,
right.
no remorse.
There's totally no comedic value of like throwing bodies on top of other bodies, watch them like tumble down the steps backwards.
So I think this is probably a stunt, also too.
Yes, go ahead and give me a strength roll for that.
That is going to be a 21.
20. Sure enough. Take a look at the spear, take a look at the bodies, do the quick math in your head, and then just dump it. You hear curses and animal-like howls as they all tumble back down the stairs. They're all knocked prone, and Olivier, you would notice this if you were not transfixed. But sorry, I got their names. Fennel and Claw. There we go. You watch as first what you think is a group of 4 hunters tumble down the steps into the main room, crashing into what appears to be some sort of tanning station for human pelts. You hear curses and shouts come from the 2 of them, and they attempt to stand themselves up. And with that, we head over to Claw. My bad.
So with the window bashed in, can I get a straight line of sight to the two that just fell down the stairs?
I will say yes, you can.
So can I just pivot slightly and loose my arrow that I had prepared?
Sure thing. Go ahead.
Nope. Oh, so that's a 15.
15 hits. Go ahead and roll for damage.
That's 2 damage.
2 damage. All right. You hear a shriek coming from one of them. Neither of them are. Neither of the two living are dead, but one appears to be hurt. So just put that down. Damage. And with that, we head over to Fennel. Oh, real quick, Claw. You have gazed into the room. I need you to make a charisma roll as well.
Mm-hmm.
I shall. So that is the second natural one of the game.
So something
Commiserate
extra,
with me, my friend.
something extra interesting happens to you.
Yay.
You also lock eyes with the pelts. However, this one says to you instead, they're trying to hurt me. Don't let that happen. And do you have a melee weapon with you?
I do not have a melee weapon with me.
All right, you take your bow and you place the drawstring on Oliver's neck, and you slowly begin to pull.
Luckily, it's a thick neck.
Yeah, yeah. It's not like a easy just on. It's kind of like
You had to like draw the bow to get it around the
yeah,
neck.
kind of like shimmy it down. Like,
Yeah.
the nose was like the hard part, and then like got stuck on the chin. And like... Anyway, Fennel, you witness this as Olivier now has a bowstring around their bowstring at their neck. Claw, in a trance, is just slowly beginning to pull against it. Oh,
Vic, we can't hear you. You are muted.
That was my first time.
it strikes again.
I'm gonna go
The
out.
curse has transferred.
I'm going to go out with. I'm going to pull my sack out, and I'm going to try to sneak up on my friend and pull it over their head.
Fair enough. Which one?
The
How
one
big is
that
this?
is not currently almost dying.
Are you helping the one who's trying to kill your other friend, or
No, I am trying to not no casualties of friends.
Okay, so
I
so
thought
you
were
throw
just
the sack
doing it
over
for
Oliver's
Olivier,
head.
just Finally, we're doing this.
Yes. Over Olivier's head. And with that, Olivier, give me a charisma roll as your eyes are obscured from it.
Aha. Okay. No, that's a 6.
All right. Your weapon still remains down at your side. Unfortunately, you are still
Shame.
in a trance.
All right, very well.
And with that, we go to the hunters who are just spend their turn getting the bodies off of them and attempting to stand. So they lose an entire round thanks to the stunt of Belric dropping their friends on them. You assume they're friends. You're not quite sure how tight they were. They could've just... Anyway,
I just
and
say
with
it was
that,
nice.
let's see. I guess it is yeah, it's actually Olivier's turn again. Go ahead and give me another charisma roll to see if you break
Okay.
free. Yes.
All right, that's a 17.
Okay. The bag does help. And sure enough, while it didn't help when it put it on, it takes
I've been told that on a date, and it destroyed me.
Oh,
It's not that I was
No.
building up to the joke or anything.
Okay. Well, we'll unpack that later. But yes, you sort of come to, and the first thing you notice is that, well, I can't see, and the second is that there is something tight on my neck. I don't like that. So right now you have broken free, but that takes your entire action.
Okay, very good.
All right. And so top of the round, we head over to Belric. You are still on the second floor.
I'm surrounded by darkness, but free.
So I'm looking. I mean, essentially, I just shut these guys down. I'm looking down. It's a straight thing down. I just saw these guys extricate themselves from the body stand up. One of them got shot-ish. Correct.
Yes.
And then I'm going to throw the axe, the hatchet that I have,
Just
at the other one. And I'm torn right now because there are two things I want to throw, but this is the one I'm going to throw right now.
Fair enough. All right, go ahead and give me an attack roll for that.
That's an 18. And so it's going to hit. I'm going to throw. That's a D6. We decided, right?
That is a D6 for the hatchet.
That's a 5.
5. That one.
I need to
drops like
start throwing stuff.
Yeah.
No, you need to be rolling black rainbow dice.
Black rainbow dice. 20%, all 5% of the time.
Or just start using things that were forged by human hands.
Yes.
Which includes black rainbow dice.
Black rainbow dice. Anyway, sure enough, this one drops like a sack of potatoes just as they catch their bearings and sort of look up you with a angry and then quizzical look, and then an expression of peace as they drop to the ground, dead. And with that, we head over to oh boy, Claw's turn, and I'm gonna need you to make a charisma roll.
Okay, charisma. So that's a 17.
17. All right. Your hand is stayed. You manage to kind of snap your eyes away, and then you realize where you are and what you're doing. And you break free of its control, but not before you hear a sound like nails on the chalkboard in the back of your skull. So that'll be your action. And now we hop over to Fennel.
Fennel, having had their hypothesis work in some way, has decided to then shift their helmet at a slight angle.
Yes.
And I'm going to take my additional action to go into that room with my axe.
Fair enough. All right. I'll say tipping your helmet is a free action, and so you have a movement and an attack. What would you like to do?
Going to blindly start swinging.
All right. Go ahead, just give me a strength roll. Let's just see what happens.
Let's see. I'm risking a lot here. Oh, okay. I actually got an 18.
Nice. Charlie?
Fair enough. I will say I caught it. Right.
Very good.
You charge into the room. And just because the corner happens to be catty-cornered and you charge in a straight line, you bring your axe into the idol. You hear the sound of shattering wood, as well, all of you hear a scream in the back of your head. The idol is broken, and the pelt lies on the ground, torn asunder. Unfortunately, behind you, Fennel, the hunter sees this and is enraged, and they charge at you with their knife. Your helmet is askew, so you cannot see them as they charge at your back. Does a 16 hit your armor?
A 16 does hit.
Okay.
And I have to stay by being vain.
Okay.
Caution.
You take 3 damage.
Oh, fantastic.
Ah, damn it. Okay. Well, I mean, I said the quiet part out loud. You feel a dagger go into your back.
Okay.
Yes. And with that, we now hop over to the still currently blind, Olivier.
Is this death?
I will say the bow has slacked on your neck. You do hear a shattering in the corner, a scream in the back of your head, a shout from one of the hunters, and then the sound of you had something, Fennel?
If I'm sorry, I just wanted to clarify this for rules. If my helmet slightly turned, it wouldn't affect my armor. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, you're good.
Sorry.
You were just making sure you didn't get more hurt than you thought.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to make sure if I did get more hurt, I got more hurt.
Yes. No. You're good. You're good. But yes, and then you hear the sound of a dagger going into flesh, also coming from that corner of the room.
Oh dear. I think at that point, Olivier will realize that there is actually just a bag over his head, and and he will remove it.
Fair enough. You see the room ahead of you. It's just as horrifying as you remember, but you don't space out when you look at it, which is kind of neat. Unfortunately, you do see your companion getting stabbed in the back by a hunter.
Oh no. Well, there's no time like now, so I will use the warhammer in my hands to stop this attack and crush this man or this hunter person.
Fair enough. Go ahead, give me a strength roll.
I will do that. All right, that is a 14.
14. Unfortunately, that does not hit. It just barely. It just barely misses a 15. It's got to be a 15.
Christ.
Yes.
I'm enamored by the sheer uselessness of this enormous hunk of man meat.
So I think the problem is the way you described it was just somebody melted metal and then stuck a stick in, and so Velrix is convinced your character that man just needed to work with the metal on your thing more in order for it to be a thing against these evil creatures.
That's true.
It's not man-made enough.
Yeah, I think Olivier probably made it himself, and at this point, his humanity is questionable. So I think this horrible warhammer thing just crashes into the wooden paneling of this room, but does not hit.
With a resounding crack, it does just that. It even kind of like sticks a bit. And I'll say on your turn, Belric, you feel the whole house just shake as the hammer hits the wall. It is your turn.
Cool. So what I've seen is the stairs going down I can see the doorway that do these stairs go down towards the doorway? So I saw Fennel run in. I saw people get shot. I don't know that there's anybody attacking me right now.
Yes.
I'm going to set the stairs on fire with the whiskey and then start throwing furs out the window.
Okay.
Because I don't have any idea what's going on down there.
Yep.
At all.
It's how it happened. It's how it happened.
I'm gonna light. I mean, this may take a bit. I'm gonna light the whiskey. I'm gonna stick a little bit of fur in there. I don't know what it is. Light the whiskey. Throw the whiskey.
I will say that as you pop the whiskey off and strike the flint on the tinderbox, it just you swear it lit before you even struck the flint. Immediately, just an isopropyl style fire starts popping out the top of it, pouring it down on the ground.
Oh no, it's a little bit of a throw. I get it a little bit away from me. I need some time to get these things going. I'm setting the bottom of the stairs on fire.
It's supposed to be an easy job.
So I make that throw, and then I'm just gonna go start emptying pelts out the window.
Sure enough, you immediately the floor starts to. Right now, it hasn't caught fire, but there is fire going. Some of the pelts are starting to smoke a little bit, and as you are just tossing them hand over fist out the window.
Yeah.
And with that, we head over to.
I yell down we got to get out of here.
It's fire! And with that, Claw, it is your turn. The bow is still around Olivier's neck, unfortunately.
He's just been walking around with the thing around him.
Yes.
I like to think that when I came to the realization of what I was doing, I let go, but then you walked forward. So
Yes.
Yeah, that's
the
exactly
bow is far away from me. I'm gonna imagine that this window that we were standing in is directly below the window that Belric went through. So I'm gonna guess that I just get hit with pelts from above.
Yes, we'll say so. They smell faintly of urine, and they're quite heavy and stiff. But yep, there are pelts coming out right now.
Okay, I'm going to start grabbing everyone that I can and start loading them onto the wagon.
Fair enough. Can do.
Eyes on the prize.
Eyes on the prize. Eyes on the prize. And with that, Fennel, it is your turn. There is still what feels like a knife in your back. You have remained conscious, and you turn around to face the enraged hunter that is trying to strike you with the skinning knife.
Oh. I'm gonna, with my one run free hand, just twitch my helmet back, looking them directly in the eyes, and then pulling my axe and just going back.
Fair enough. Go ahead and give me a strength roll for that.
All right. Oh, okay. I got an 11.
An 11, unfortunately, it's just a little bit too awkward of an angle, and you miss. The hunter zips out of the way. Although, actually, go ahead and give me another roll, because that hunter is flanked.
Ooh.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow. 22.
Okay.
Ooh.
Scratch that. You turn to them, look them in the eyes, turn your helmet back in place, and with one fell swoop. Wait, no, roll for damage. We got to see how much damage it is. Getting ahead of myself.
I'm so excited.
And with one fell swoop, you faintly nick them.
That is exactly what happened.
Oh no!
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
You give them how much damage was that?
A 1.
A 1. Okay. I will say
One.
this one has taken damage before from an arrow. It is not looking good. You strike their face. They are still standing though. You have cut through their pelt mask, and you watch as they are freely bleeding from underneath it. With that, we hop over to the hunter's turn. The hunter is unfortunately a little bit confused. So I'm going to roll to see who it attacks. Okay, well, it turns towards the loudest sound and the biggest one, you, Olivier,
no.
and it strikes at you with its skinning knife. Gets a 19.
Oh no.
And just roll for damage.
Well, I don't think you need to, is the thing.
It's I have to just for honor's sake.
It's not a 0.
For honor's sake.
2 damage.
So I think what happens is with this bow around his neck, I think as the knife sort of catches him right underneath that, I think it just sort of spurts. And I think as you see sort of Olivier's face, which is just this, it's a horrible face. Like, it's a face only a mother could love. And I think you see him sort of pour one out for him. I think as you see him sort of crumple, you see him like he almost deflates in a way. And I think what he will say just before he goes is, "Tell my story." As he just flumps onto the ground, and you see sort of hanging on the back of his belt, one of the items on my item list is the bucket in which the Warhammer was made.
And with that, Olivier expires. And unfortunately, because I have this written down in the notes, you watch as the hunter descends on your body and immediately starts biting into it ravenously.
Well, I mean, I've got to give it to him. He picked the right one. There's a lot of meat on that.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Correctly, is that actually meat or is it something else at this point?
You don't like that answer.
Well, moving on. Yes, Olivier has expired. We hop over to Belric, throwing pelts out the window.
That's all I'm doing. I'm just making
No,
pelts,
fair enough,
pelts are
okay.
going out the window. My plan was if I get up here and throw these out the window, we'd be done. I made enough noise that didn't happen, but I'm still on, these have to get out the window. This is I have
Just
no idea if
gotta-
anybody's died downstairs, so there's no reason for me to change my behavior.
Yes, you heard a
'Cause
loud
OSR
thump.
is all about committing to your character. And
Yeah,
so,
well, it's about committing to the job.
right.
And
Yeah, I
So
don't have healing magic. He's not coming back. I'm just
no. Like, so the pelts are going out the window. And with that, we hop over to where the pelts are landing. Claw. I will say you do see what happens though, as you are on the first floor, as you are catching pelts. You watch as Olivier's massive, grotesque body, your words, not mine, collapses to the ground, and the hunter descends upon it, biting into it.
I also don't have my weapon anymore, and so there's not a lot that I can do about this. So I'm just going to continue ferry these pelts to the
Just grab the
wagon.
pelts. Just grab the pelts.
I just like the idea of a bundle of pelts descending upon you. Like we can see the shadow getting larger above your
Yeah.
character as you're watching this happen in front
Yeah.
of you, and then they just slam into you. You're like, oh.
Yeah. You see Olivier being fucking devoured to the side. Eyes on the prize. Eyes on the
Eyes on the
prize.
prize. Eyes on the prize.
I think I do get out my pelt mask that matches theirs and go, maybe they won't eat
They
me,
won't know.
one of them.
I will say the moving on to the next turn, it is Fennel's turn. You watch as Olivier collapses and the hunter descends upon them.
Well, I began by pulling the dagger out of my back.
Well, the dagger was actually
Oh.
currently in Olivier.
Sorry, I thought that I misunderstood that entirely. I thought that I still had a dagger and that he might have used his own weapon on him. Very, very easy thing to get confused by.
To-
I'm gonna use my movement to just jump on the hunter.
Fair enough. I will say, and would you like to make an attack against them?
I would like to use the hilt of my axe to describe it, to just grab their neck as I jump.
Fair enough.
So
Go ahead and give me a.
a strength.
That will
Did
be
you
a
say for
strength roll,
mine?
and I will say, since they are distracted, this is also at advantage.
Alrighty. I got 19.
Sure enough, you hit them. Go ahead and roll for damage.
All right. I'm just scared to roll for damage. I'm sorry. And I should have been. It was 2.
There's 2. If that's enough, that's enough for it.
Yeah.
You bring the handle and using bring the handle up to their neck, push your knee into their back. They don't even seem concerned about you. They are concerned about eating. Ravenous with some animal hunger, and you choke the life out of them for slaying Olivier. Their body expires. You collapse next to the corpse of Olivier and the corpse of this hunter, breathing heavy. It's at that point you smell burning hair, and you watch as the fire line of Belric and Claw are just hauling pelts. Let me see how many pelts you. I will say at this point, the fire has started to catch the second floor. You can probably get a few more pelts out of there if you are quick. Otherwise, you gotta bail.
I am quick, so I'm gonna get some more pelts out of there.
All right, give me a dexterity roll.
Don't black rainbow dice. Don't fail me now. They did not. That is a 19.
Jesus. Okay. Well.
So
all right.
my first character, the first character I rolled up, is like +4 strength, +4 dexterity, +6 constitution. And so just FYI, the rest of their things are not like they're like +1, +2, right? But
Fair
like
enough.
they're for this specific thing, like this is something my character is good at. It's not just the dice.
Fair enough. I will say, before the fire takes over and you do have to bail, you get a couple more pelts. At this point, there are 14 pelts that are safely rescued from the second floor. Unfortunately, Olivier still lies there dead. Fennel, you can escape the house quickly enough as you need, unless there's something you would like to find there before heading out.
And I would have to run in the opposite direction to jump out the window with pelts, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
So
you'd
I
have to
just
go
wanted
upstairs
make
and
sure-
like.
I just wanted to make sure I understood locationally where I was. I will
Yes.
be exiting. I will also be trying to drag my friend's body as I exit.
Fair enough. It's heavy work, but we'll say with the adrenaline pumping, you do manage to pull Olivier out of the now burning lodge. Before long, the entire building is ablaze. You watch as it crackles, burns, and cinders begin to catch the tips of the trees above it. It is a horrid and oddly beautiful sight as the sun descends and night comes. You watch as the lodge burns to the ground, pelts in tow. And I'll say you rescued 14 pelts, and therein is the adventure.
We solved your
Congratulations.
horrible woods puzzle.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Awesome. It was great. So here on +1 EXP, we do a little thing every single time that we play a game. I guess I shouldn't say every single time, but the vast majority of the time. And I'm really vamping right now so that I can find the correct slide to bring up. Called Reaction Roll. Reaction Roll is a live stream within a live stream. It's our chance to sit down with the designer of a game that we just played and talk to them about what our thoughts about that game were. Today we are playing Into the Wyrd Wild, which is a OSR system agnostic supplement that is designed to help enhance your exploration of the weird and wild spaces between town and tomb that your characters might dive into. I am incredibly excited about it for a number of reasons. I was super excited we were able to get Charles on here today to play with us. Let's meet some of our other players. We're going to have Charles talk a little bit about the game, and we'll get a chance to talk about what our thoughts were. But first and foremost, let's just start with Vic. Vic, tell people who you are, what you do, and where they can find you online.
Hi, I'm Vic. I'm an illustrator. I am at Major Tomorrow, and tomorrow's TMRW, and there's an underscore between those two words. I am on Twitch with Dice Drinks and Drama, and I also am working on a game right now that I, like I said, can't say too much about, as well as other games that I can't say too much about. Gotta love NDAs.
The game, G-Dubs asked how it's been. It's been great. But yeah, I can't wait to hear about your game, whatever you were able to share it with us, because I am super excited to see what you have come up with. Let's go down below that to Rowan. Rowan, tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online.
Yeah, hey, I'm Rowan. I am the writer behind Thawing Kingdom, a Kickstarter which has recently run quite successfully, and which will also hopefully soon be available for purchase after the campaign on itch. And you can find me on Twitter as Rowan A. Mon, and you can also find my blog at the Bottomless Sarcophagus.
Awesome. I am super excited to find out more about your game also too. Let's hear from Richard. Richard, tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online.
Yeah, so I'm Richard. I'm a budding game designer, just getting into this old world. I've been doing some small things for the indie zine, which is on Twitter and itch. And you can find me on Twitter at Kettle and Clock.
Awesome. And also, thanks to the folks over at Fable42 for just rating us with a party of 16. Hey, thanks for joining us. We just played Into the Wyrd Wild, which is an OSR supplement. But here on our channel, every game we play is a learning game. We do mostly one-shots, almost exclusively indie games with the designer, and we talk to them about it afterwards, which is what we're doing right now. And so last but not least, Charles, tell us who you are, what you do, and tell us about Into the Wyrd Wild 2nd edition. And unmute yourself.
I have my
also.
mic on. Nope, I was not muted.
One more time.
Yep. Not muted that time. I was just pulling a prank. Anyway, yes. So, Into the Wyrd Wild is, as he explained, it's a OSR supplement. We are currently running a second Kickstarter, which I highly recommend you check that out. This is on the business side of things. This is to make sure that we get a big enough print run so that we make sure everybody can get them, because the last time I did a Kickstarter, I did not print enough books to sell after the Kickstarter, because I did not expect it to be as popular as it was. And so this time around, it's to make sure that we have not only enough copies to give to some distributors, but also to possibly do a convention circuit when those open up again. But in addition to that, I am also the co-creator, co-founder of Feral Indie Studios, which is a small independent role-playing games and artist co-op. I'm actually joined by here. Good.
No, don't make me.
Okay, fine. But yes, I run that with Alex Coggin, my business partner and housemate. And we are actually currently working on our second book as we speak. Yes, there's.
And y'all actually just had a super successful. Y'all had a super successful run during Zine Quest also, which just came in for me. All of these are things that I got because I wanted the whole damn thing, so I got the whole damn thing. All the books y'all put out during Zine Quest. Y'all had 3 successful projects. It was absolutely amazing to watch the way you ran them. And I first got turned on to your work through your work with Wet Ink, who you're partnering with for this project for. I cannot remember the name now, and Brandon's going to kill me. For the war game, which I cannot remember right now off the top of my head.
I got you. So yes, of course, a shout out to Wet Ink Games. I would not be where I am. I would not have the job I have today if it were not for them. They actually got me in the door with my first big project, which was Never Going Home, which I am the I will call myself the artist on that. Because they're the ones who came up with all the lore for that. I just made some pretty pictures and got the ball rolling.
Yeah, the art on that and the art on this are absolutely amazing. Everybody, you should absolutely check it out. The physical presence of this game and that game alone are worth picking them up for. However, the content of both are amazing. But let's talk about Into the Wyrd Wild. It's Never Going Home is that game if you want to go check it out. It's an amazing Weird War 1 game. We played it here on the stream with Brandon also too if you want to go check out our backlog over on YouTube. Y'all are sitting at $35,000. You got 822 backers. You got 20 days to go. Good stretch of time in front of you. It's been an incredibly successful project. I had a blast playing it, but I want to hear from everybody else what their thoughts were. Let them ask you questions. Also, if you're watching right now and you have questions about what a system agnostic OSR supplement of this kind does, feel free to ask them in the chat wherever you're watching. I should be able to see it. If you're watching later, feel free to drop them in anyways, and we'll get a response for you if we can. But let's go same order. So Vic, tell us about your experience playing Fennel.
I had an excellent time. I enjoy when things are able to be really out in the open. I would have loved to be able to experience more of the survival and travel elements of it. We were very in a positive way. Like I was reading into it, and it was really exciting to see how monster movement went. And I really enjoyed the descriptions, and I always enjoy haunting and totems and wilderness, and all of that is kind of one of my favorite horror settings. So it's I enjoyed the pacing quite a bit. But
yeah, awesome. Do you have any questions about the resource?
I actually, just going through it right now, I was very excited to see that you guys were doing a retail copy and sent it over to the stores in the city. That's something that never really comes up. I didn't see that on the first look of the Kickstarter.
Yep, we're like I said, I did not print enough books the first time, so this time it's like we're trying to like just we're trying to sell up front with the Kickstarter, and also just like after that, make sure that it's like I would like to hit up Exalted Funeral if you know who they are. They are a wonderful indie distributor, and probably one of I know a bunch. There's Exalted Funeral, Spear Witch, Rooks Press, which I just sold some to, Monkey's Paw Games, and yeah, everybody who wants to sell a copy will be able to sell a copy. We'll try to make sure of that.
Yeah.
I'm sending it over to Hex and Company.
Yeah, the friendly local game store it's absolutely great for. But yeah, Exalted, I'm sure will want to pick up copies of this if they haven't reached out yet. Jarrett Crater is a good friend, and the Matt over there does a phenomenal job. They're always looking for good stuff. Fiona Geist, who does the purchasing, I think this would be right up her alley. So I hope that they pick up some copies also do. I'm actually going to pop the Kickstarter up just so I can give it a scroll through so people can see it if they want to, if they don't want to pop over there. But let's go to Rowan. Rowan, tell people what your thoughts were about playing Olivier. Was that what the character's name was?
Yeah, exactly, Olivier. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. This was really great. Just the setting as a whole is really good. I've followed Wyrd Wild for quite a long time, or at least I've been familiar with it for a while, and just like it hits all of the stuff that I love to see, especially in terms of like weird, creatures and stuff out there in the wilderness, and especially the survival mechanics as well. I think play very well with that sort of sense of dread that you can create with these horrible beasts being out there somewhere, combined with a good survival mechanic. So I really love that about Into the Wyrd Wild. And on this particular game, just the visuals of like the pelts and all of that works really well.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Did you have any questions that you wanted to ask?
Any questions? I don't think anything in particular comes to mind. Maybe, is there anything that has been added to Wyrd Wild's edition 2 that wasn't in the first edition in terms of pure content-wise?
Content-wise, one big one that was, I would argue, a misstep on my part. Not argue, it was. I did not include an encounter table in the first one, which was a big problem. So this time around, but rather than just make it and put it in there, make sure it's like, it's got numbers and it's got monsters associated with it. I did something that I've kind of learned with pretty much all the zines I've been making over the last couple years. It's not only an encounter table, but it also has just a very quick little, what is their mood? So you stumble onto some hunters. Are they going to be happy to see you? Are they going to be willing to trade? Are they angry that you're possibly messing up their hunting? Or are they going to pretend to be friends and then stab you in the back? And it has, so of course, it's got, I believe, either 50 or 100 entries of that, with each sort of monster, each monster having just kind of a quick little, what is their mood? So rather than it just being what do you find, it's what do you find and how are they feeling, how are they going to react to you.
That's really good. I really love that, because it adds a lot of sort of you can redo encounters a lot with that, because otherwise you have this monster and it does this and this, and if you run into it again, you might think, oh right, this is just the same encounter. But when you add something like a mood system like that, it really makes it a lot more unpredictable, and I really like that.
Love it. Yeah, awesome. Richard, tell people what your experience was like playing Claw, and if you have any questions for Charles, toss them out.
Yeah, I had a really good time. I've heard it said that a lot of the times comedy is used by players to kind of relieve the tension. And I think the fact that we all kind of lent into the silliness is proof of just how horrifying it actually was. And we were trying to not deal with that problem. So I think it really seems to have hit the mark of what I see that you're going for. My only question, it's more of just a curiosity. Are they were they just basic hunter statistics that you just put the layer of the totem on top of, or is there like a crazy human stat block in there?
So there is a crazy human stat block. Within the context of the book, they're known as something called Ravagers, which are basically just kind of people that have gone feral. And they're loosely based off of the kind of like if in American history, anybody who knows about the Donner Party. Yeah, just sort of like cannibal people. In the book, it takes it a step further with like you can actually roll for like odd little mutations that they have. Like they have of course I have a book around here somewhere. There it is. But it's stuff along the lines of like they have claws, so they make teeth attacks. They have teeth, so they make bite attacks. They have long claws, which increases their range. And maybe they just have lots of fur, which means that they have like a resistance to cold. And because it is agnostic, it's much more about like put the idea there, and then whatever system you use, you implement that for it. So whether that, in the case of resisting cold, whether that's like damage resistance or just, they do well in the winter. It's up to you.
Like that's also interestingly stuff like the mutations can also affect players also too, depending on how stuff goes and depending on how you want to play.
I actually, I had it written in the notes that if had people died earlier, I was going to leave the option open of you can either just choose to have another character walk in, or you can use one of the little mutations that's in this book, which there's like just a big old chart. It's a big old chart of 50 entries of everything from by smelling and tasting the air, you can detect the faint traces of recently spilled blood within 100 feet of you. Or you are compelled to eat every possible piece of your hunting prey, organs, cartilage, even bones, by either boiling or grinding. You cannot waste anything. So 50 of those possible little things that can happen.
Very nice.
Lawful Neutral, we have links blocked just to keep weird random spammers from dropping into our channel. If you want to tweet at me the link that you're wanting or just tell people what it is, they'll be able to find it online. But yeah, it looks like you're trying to link to Serve Man, which is if you want to take your cannibalism a little bit further, if that's something you're interested in.
He's a friend. It's like,
there he is.
So Lawful Neutral also wants to know, Charlie, do you have any other zines or materials you'd specifically call out as good things to play alongside Wyrd and Wild? And so we played Knave today, right? Which was a great way to play a system. But what are some other either systems or tools that you would encourage people to pick up that would be really complementary with Into the Wyrd and Wild?
Oh my God. Okay, so Guards of Yin springs to mind. That is a piece by Cave Girl. It's wonderful. And it is a little bit more, it's not necessarily a haunted wood, but it is a fey garden. And the reason I would like to point out that is if there is something that I would like, a zine that I think is just like absolutely wonderful. It is that in the Stygian Library by Cave Girl. They're just wonderful, full of like just full of character and also full of like content that is easily usable and immediately usable. And I'm trying to think of like what else like I would like to use with Into the Wyrd Wild. I can't remember who did that one. Yes.
You can go ahead and say it. We'll figure it out later.
There's one that's called, for lack of a better term, Blood Moth.
I actually own that. That's Temple of the Blood Moth by Jacob. Jacob something. I can actually. No, I don't know if I have.
I've got it right here. Don't worry. Temple of the Blood Moth by Abraxas Press. It's an OSR dungeon filled with horrible moth creatures. Other than the fact that it's published by Abraxas, I don't have a designer name immediately available.
Yes. But I will say, just on the shorthand, it's not to disparage content creators or anything like that, because I know there is stuff akin to Into the Wyrd Wild out there. I just unfortunately can't think of it right now.
Jacob Butcher.
Jacob Butcher is the creator, apparently.
Butcher. Yeah. But I will say it was created because of because there wasn't what I wanted. It was a book that was created like, the more I think about it, the more I realize kind of how personal that book is. It is something that was missing from like all the games I was playing, all the stuff I was seeing, and I wanted to make it, and I kind of wanted to fill that gap, and so I did. And that's why it exists now, to a degree.
And then are other systems getting tweaked at all? Jim Germany wants to know. I remember abstracted supply rations being a bit of an oddity in the first edition. So have you tweaked any of the other systems, made any sort of like tightening of the updates? Jim, if you want to say a little bit more what you mean by it being an oddity, that might be helpful for an answer. But anything else that's been tweaked or kind of moved around a little bit, or is everything else kind of intact as far as it was in the first edition?
There were a couple of little things that I've sort of fixed. Somebody pointed out that there's a way you can actually just basically freely cast spells just with a risk of like possibly mutating you very badly. I remember one of the catastrophes is literally gravity just switches for you. So, just go away up into the sky. But unfortunately, if you wanted to cast low-level spells, you could basically kind of do that without issue. So I don't like to make things fair per se when I design stuff, because I don't think that's necessarily what like these things are for. If you want fair and balanced, you could go play 5th edition. But if you want to play something with like a lot more character, a lot more strangeness, and a lot more, just for lack of a better term, wackiness, that's the kind of stuff I want to make. So that being said, I did tweak that so that it's probably, I believe it's only, you can only do it a certain amount of times per day, just so it kind of clamps down on like, you can't just be like firing off spells left and right without issue or without risk.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I think most of the stuff has, aside from like some grammatical errors and some condensing of text and all of that, has sort of remained as it is. Because of that philosophy where it's like, I want it to be wacky, I want it to be a little unfair, and I want it to be weird. And it works well as that. And on top of that, it's like, if you don't want to use it, you don't gotta.
Jim says there was a mention of firewood being tied to supplies. If they remember correctly, I was playing with some rules lawyers at the time, and it got a bit out of hand.
Yeah,
so,
that's...
To be fair, I feel like that can probably break just about any system out there.
Yeah,
but the concept there is heat. Like you need heat and like a way to stay warm and comfortable. Not you have like if it's a warm summer's evening, whether you need a fire or not is probably a debatable thing.
Yes, I think it's less of, so I believe I did change the wording on that actually, like before the revised edition, like literally just as like the PDF. I'm a great designer. I fix things after I've like sent them to publication. But yes, I think I did change the wording around for it not to necessarily be warmth, but a little bit more of an abstraction of shelter, in the sense that like even if it is hot, even if it is mild, or no real problems with temperature, for anyone who has like done a lot of camping, which I have, just not having a tent makes things so much worse. There are bugs, there is wind, you are tired and beaten if you like sleep just on the ground, or say in one particular case, I remember sleeping on a log and I didn't realize it through the snow until it melted. Then I was like, bent on my back. But so I changed the wording from like warmth to something a little bit more abstract as shelter. And that came from a place of like my own personal research of realizing like you can't really be comfortable, survive, and really be just like peak physical condition unless you like, bring your tent, bring your sleeping bag, bring like just even a pile of straw to sleep on, just to soften things up.
The Future Crash wants to know, after the stream, they said they're going to watch Ben Wheatley's Into the Earth. Did you have any influences for Wyrd in the Wild outside of TTRPGs, like films, books, or video games that influenced your design process?
Loads. Too many to think of. But one of them the biggest one is also just like my own personal taste. I grew up in rural Pennsylvania. The only really fun thing to do is like if you don't have like say video games or you don't really have a robust social life as a child, you just go out back and go into the woods, and that's where a lot of my influence came from. Just camping, walking trails, and kind of, I guess, just kind of loving the wilderness, and also like various stories, books. I would say Hatchet is a bit of an influence, even though I didn't like it as a kid, and I appreciate it a lot more now. Um, but yeah, a lot of it just does come from kind of just too many places to mention, folk myth, but also my own like personal, like just I love the woods and I love camping, and I want to imprint that in a book.
I love that. My review, because usually by this point I'm like, I do the actual play, then I'll do my review, since we didn't know if we were going to be able to make it happen. Went ahead and did my video. I talked like that was the number, like reading through it. It took me back. I grew up in a half wooded, half open thing. Like all of me and my friends' houses were connected by the woods, and wandering into the woods and finding the places that you're not supposed to go and that you feel like no one else has ever been is the best kind of childhood magic. And if you didn't experience it growing up, I'm sorry. But it is absolutely amazing. This book captures it well. Like we had an old stone well, like but in the middle of the woods that was like no one knew why or where, but it had been there for years. And of course, we thought a witch lived there. There was a creepy old shed that was probably just an old fallen shed on somewhere else in the woods. Like you would find places where a bunch of trees had fallen over a gully, and there were tons of animal warrens down in there. And like all those things are absolutely amazing places to find. All the way through, if you keep an imagination alive through your teenage and into your adult years, like finding those places is absolutely amazing. So I know that Vic, you mentioned The Ritual was your favorite wood-centric horror film in a while.
Oh yes.
I also grew up in the woods.
Very good film.
My favorite are fields that are actually populated but cut off from any sort of homestead. So you actually start to see these large like growths that are completely outgrown, and the trail leading to the actual like crops aren't there anymore. So there's no connection to like a house. You just see these things growing on their own.
Yeah, there are so many, like and it doesn't even take a lot of space. If there are 3 or 4 acres of wild space, like you're going to find weird stuff in there from a long time ago that's going to be absolutely
and things that
amazing.
move in there.
Yep.
So go out and get into the weird and wild, folks. No, like that's no. I mean, like some of my favorite things, like in addition to like the entire feeling of the book capturing that place really well. The other major thing is I am 100% the player who, when a creature dies, I'm like, what can I do to this body to get something valuable out of it? And to have a cleaning the corpse page for a GM, if you have players like me in your party, is 100% essential, because if you put a magical creature in front of me and are like, it's shooting fire out of it, like I don't care how it makes fire. I want those fire glands. I want to extract those. I want to suck them out. If something can crawl on the walls, like I want its feet. Like I don't care. Like I that's my favorite thing to do and explore as a player, and systems that will allow you to. And a lot of things don't have the resources for that. So morbidly, clean the body is 100% my favorite procedure. And I was somebody who at one point like considered myself an artist and had to come to terms with the fact that I am a technician, and what I really like is elegant design. And the procedures that you've brought in here, along with the actual artwork, the text, the prose, it's a phenomenal overall project that does everything I love. And that's like letting procedures be procedures and letting poetry be poetry and prose be prose within your system, and then watching the way those two things interact with each other. And I think this supplement does an absolutely phenomenal job of just kind of laying that out. So does anybody else have any other questions they wanted to say, or anything else they wanted to add before we sign off today?
I am. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Please go ahead. I would love to hear a little bit more about the cycles of like the moon and like how that affects some of the orientation of it, because I this is new to me. Like I wasn't on the internet for the first edition.
Fair enough. So the moon cycle is it is kind of like a small little bit that can either just be either like a lot of the weird little rules in this game, you could either just kind of like have it there for sort of the fun of it, or you could really base an entire campaign off of it.
Yeah.
With the moon cycle, it is it's really just kind of like it bumps up and down the chance of an encounter, which is why when I didn't include an encounter table the first time around, it was not quite as useful. So, but I did, and I kind of like retooled it so that it's like, you know, a little bit, so it's more usable specifically with that. But it basically like makes that go up and down, and it's something for players to keep track of. As well, there's like just a little bit of a big fun little table of possible weird moons, where let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Yep, there's one. Sower's moon. Life grows rapidly and out of control. The moonlight seems to quiver and throb in the sky. Minute life seems to pulse with horrid consciousness. The air seems to fill with spore and spawn. Demented moon, which makes rolls against madness or mind-affecting effects worse. Gentle moon, which makes healing effects a little better and people heal better. Just fun shenanigans with the moon that make it something that you players to and the game master to keep track of as people are stuck in the woods.
Some of the humor in that section is also really good, just in the opening bit about like, if you're going to track moons, like it's important to track moons.
Yeah, like it's not, you can't just say like, oh yeah, by the way, it's a blood moon tonight, and it's like, what? Like,
yeah. Rowan.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking, I had a question, but also a kind of an interesting story about how I first came into contact with Into the Wyrd Wild, which was something quite interesting that I think I've talked to you about, Charlie, was that I was at that point very, very early on in my sort of process of becoming like a game developer and looking into that. And what I was sort of working on at the time was very rudimentary, was this my own system. And I was thinking, what if I could like maybe do something cool with like a wilderness thing, like maybe sort of something like that. And then a friend of mine told me, oh yeah, there's actually something like that. It's called Into the Wyrd Wild. And then I thought, that's impossible. And I looked at it and I thought, oh wait, this is actually super dope. This is really cool.
I'm sorry.
No, it's absolutely fine. Honestly, it was a way too overambitious project. Wouldn't have gone anywhere anyway. And yeah, honestly, I'm just really impressed by like how you've put that out as your first ever book, as your first ever like side project, I believe, as well.
That was that was my first role-playing book, and it was a 240-page OSR supplement.
Yeah, see,
so,
I just gotta respect that. That's insane.
Yeah, which like makes it extra weird because like, you know, now like I'm not gonna say like I do not have street cred. I'm not gonna be that guy, but it is weird to like that was I have made one book before that. One that was a little art book called World War Occult, and it just had all my drawings, and that's what got me in contact with Brandon. My second book was World War Occult, and now people talk about my name and talk about my book, and I don't know what to do with that. And it's taken a couple years to like figure out like, you know, oh, okay, yeah, no, I gotta take this really serious now. It also explains why I forgot to put an encounter table in the entire thing.
You know, every edition, like talking to people, like we all kind of sweat, and the reality is like major publishers, like people who have editor after editor after editor, forget things like encounter tables sometimes. Like it happens. It's a thing that takes place. But also like I love that like that was your, and then like now we get these, right? Which these like this was still a massively successful project this year, right? Like I mean, like as far as for a zine out of the gate, y'all did a phenomenal job with this and with Season of the Moth, with all the other ones. Like just really great stuff coming out of Feral Indie Studio. If people want to find more of your work that's not the current Kickstarter, which I'm going to drop the link for one more time, what's the best place for them to look?
So the best place to look is probably our itch page, or itch.io. It's just look up Feral Indie Studios. I believe itch.itch.io. And that you will find, I believe, except for Season of the Moth, we're still, because that's made in half by Michelle, trying to set it up like her own like itch page, so that makes sure that like all the money from that goes to her. But yeah, that's pretty much a good spot to find like all of our stuff. You'll find my stuff there. You'll find our cooperative stuff there. You'll find Alex's stuff on there, or at least like a link to it to buy from her directly. In addition to that, you also find I've been putting out art packs for those who are publishing stuff and want some like good art, but for like at least a little bit cheaper. I've been putting out a couple of art packs, and I like running sales on that. So if you need art, I got some stuff for you if you want it.
Yeah, there are some gorgeous things on there. You've got one Delvers and Glory Seekers, Astro Gothic stuff, Black Metal Doom World. If you're looking at Mork boards stuff, some really great ones. I've looked at a few of them in the past. I need to pick one of them up and just do something fun with it. Some really great stuff on there. I did drop that link in the chat also, and I'll add it to the video description later. Hopefully I'll remember. And if I don't, just comment down below and I'll remember to when you do that. But it's been absolutely great having you on channel. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming on and playing. I really appreciate it. I don't have graphics ready for it because we just set it up. We've got a couple interviews next week, one on the importance of mental health in the world of RPG gaming, how one can complement the other. We're going to be doing that on Tuesday at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, I think. I could be wrong, but look for graphics early next week. Follow us at +1xp for announcements about this. Also, Galactic 2nd Edition, which is a Star Wars thing by my good friend Riley over on the Brain Trust. We're going to be playing that next Wednesday in the middle of the day. I've got to get players together. We just finalized that, but it is a outside belonging game that is Star Wars themed, and so you play both a character as well as the different forces of the universe in action. If you're familiar with any number of systems, but things recently like Wander Home and other games like that, it has the same core system. Super excited to be able to sit down with Riley and play through that. And a lot of us are creating content that are playbooks around that right now. So if you have a favorite Star Wars genre of character, you want to make one, they're actually pretty great and pretty fun to just sit around and noodle with. I'm writing one called The Companion, which is inspired both by Chewbacca and R2-D2, which is that character who's there the entire time and is absolutely super essential to everything happen, but never gets the credit they deserve. That is the character I am writing. And for some reason knows a bunch of secret things, but never says anything about them. Also too, is included in that book. But we're going to be playing that on a Wednesday. Come back for that. Some more interviews, other actual plays coming up. Anytime you want to. Again, here on the channel, our hope, our desire is that great indie designers could find amazing players who love their game, and that amazing players could find great indie designers whose games they love. We don't think people should have to pay for that content, for that promotion. We do giveaways. We share their games with other people. We get a couple copies, but we don't ask for any sort of specific payment. If you want to help support the channel monetarily, support our team, specifically our graphic designer and editor, and help us expand the channel. None of this money goes specifically to me. It goes to help support it. Go ahead and click follow. Just watching the content is great, or become a content champion and help support us directly over at coffee.com/+1exp. There's links to all that below if you're watching us on Twitch right now. We'd love to have you come back and join us anytime. Also, any of y'all who want to come back on, who are on the stream right now, and play another game with us sometime, we'd love to have you as well. But until next time, we're just going to wave at the screen until we go off air. Bye, everybody.